May 14th, welcome to True Democrats. Today we're talking about those other areas that Democrats fear to tread. That's into red states during election time. But this year, 2020, I think marks a watershed. Every Republican has failed this country, and every Republican and every voter needs to be reminded of that, especially in the red states where they voted for Republicans. And we're going to talk about today Idaho, which doesn't seem to be on a lot of people's radar. There's seats to pick up in the Senate, and they have about 4 or 5 that they mention, but they kind of leave all the red states behind. This Idaho, I think we got a shot. It needs a lot of money. We have a great candidate. And in all these races, to unseat an incumbent Republican in a red state, I think I'm more than thrilled to say that the candidates running against them so far have been very stellar, top of the line. In Idaho, it's no different.
Hi, everyone. Paulette Jordan here, candidate for U.S. Senate in the state of Idaho.
Paulette Jordan, who ran for governor last time, lost, and it wasn't too close.
It's no secret, state of Idaho, very red. In the governor's race, you lost by over 100,000 votes. This time, how do you plan on, chipping away at that?
Well, just like I did in my first race, you have to get out and meet the people. And the challenge is not money. It's basically being able to meet as many folks, from all walks of life across this great state. You have to take the time to go into people's homes or meet them in their communities. And that's what I plan to do, is meet more of our neighbors and ensure that they are able to hear the concept and the whole list of concepts that we offer. And this concept is what I stand for.
Today and this year is a little bit different. I think the landscape, for one thing, the Republicans just made a mess of things. And when we get attacked by a pandemic or some sort of crisis, the Republicans are just unable to do anything about it.
This second-term state representative from North Idaho says she has her finger on the pulse of the state and says that once people get by the fact that she is a 38-year-old female Native American Democrat, that they'll see she has a plan for real change in Idaho.
And Senator Risch from Idaho is just one of them who's just taken up a seat and hasn't done anything to curb this wave of disasters that have washed upon this country's shores. Not only the pandemic, but these tariffs that are crippling Idaho's farmers.
I'm not a tariff guy. We Republicans are free traders.
But what did he do when these senseless tariffs disrupted Idaho's farmers' lives? And yet at the same time, the president's daughter, Ivanka, got trademarks all over China so that her business can prosper. And he's in charge of the foreign committee that allowed this Iran deal that Obama negotiated to curb Iran's use of nuclear weapons.
It causes trouble everywhere. Every problem we have in the Middle East has Iran's fingerprints on it. They are the largest sponsor of terrorism in the world.
And the Republicans totally scrapped that and allowed Iran to build nuclear weapons and point it at the United States of America. I mean, Senator Risch has just used up his time, and an important messenger for that is Paulette Jordan.
But our current Senator Risch is simply falling asleep at the wheel.
He has completely fallen asleep at the wheel, and we should make that a campaign issue and a campaign theme. She has democratic values on education.
It's unfortunate we have a governor and we have a current leadership body who does not see investment in our schools as a priority. I think there's a multiple level of abilities for us to address in terms of building a plan, a blueprint, if you will, that will help them not just be more prosperous, but be successful and be able to compete in the broader world.
On the farmers, for the people of Idaho. I'm not quite sure I know too much about Idaho. I'll leave that to Paulette Jordan. But what I do know is that what she ran on on her gubernatorial campaign was on health care, which we all need, which lower all our premiums, and of course keep everybody healthy, is a major issue, major democratic issue.
It's unfortunate that we would choose not to expand Medicaid in the state, primarily because of a political position or how that would appear in the public eye. I think you have to look beyond that and think of our humanity at large and what it is to say that every single citizen in Idaho has the right to health care.
This should be a good race.
Idaho is one of 2 states in the country that has not followed this national plan for a self-insured health insurance plan, which is unfortunate because if we had followed it, we would save roughly 20 to 30%, which is around $100+ million a year.
Democrats need to get behind her. Financial support. The Democratic committee needs to get behind her. And we need to let Idaho know that Senator Risch is not only bad for Idaho, but he's bad for this country as well.
We have a current leadership body who does not see investment in our schools as a priority.
She says the state needs to increase teacher incentives to keep the good ones from leaving Idaho for better pay across the border. She also says she would fix the crumbling schools in the rural parts of the state.
I think there's a multiple level of abilities for us to address in terms of building a plan, a blueprint, if you will, that will help them not just be more prosperous, but be successful and be able to compete in the broader world.
Schools is a priority for everybody in this country, and especially Democrats are the only ones that are going to improve schools. And of course, we need taxes on the millionaires and billionaires, which happens to include Senator Risch. So you know he's not going to give anything away to this country. He's not going to give back to this country. So I think that's an important issue to run on him. Again, we can also know that the working class and the middle class are the ones out there fighting the wars and putting their lives on the line. Senator Risch and the rest of the millionaires and billionaires got to put their money on the line to help build this country up, education-wise and infrastructure.
Beyond education and healthcare, I would certainly say that building up our main streets would be a priority because we're looking at building up the economy in the state. You have a lot of main streets in rural Idaho that are being ignored. So for me as a businesswoman, a mother, someone raised out in the countryside, I'd like to see the revitalization of our cities, our small cities, especially in our rural towns. And a lot of that has to do with connecting our infrastructure.
She says she believes it's time for real and dramatic change in one of the West's fastest growing states.
But also the farmers. That's important because these tariffs that this Trump administration put on this country or put on China and China's retaliation has left Idaho's farmers losing millions of dollars. And of course, our tax money's propping them up. And again, the millionaires and billionaires and Senator Risch is not even paying a dime in taxes in order to support these Idaho farmers. So they need to pitch in as well. And of course, a major, I think, campaign issue and what we need to attack Senator Risch on is his chairmanship, or him being on the Committee of Foreign Affairs, where he totally ripped up the Iran agreement, has made us vulnerable to Iran's nuclear weapons and allowed Iran to build those nuclear weapons. Totally got rid of the Pacific Pan Treaty, which would have give China competition. Not only would it give China competition, would have lowered their strength, capped its strength and its growing power, and it would also have given more avenues and more trade avenues to the Idaho farmers. But they cut that off, stifling any kind of trade that America could have in the Pacific and allowing China to have pure dominance and get stronger. So not only did he allow our adversaries to get stronger, but he crippled our farmers doing it. And also, Senator Risch is a major advocate and a conspirator with President Trump, allowing Putin's agents into the White House and allowing them to infiltrate our elections. Senator Risch allowing President Donald Trump to give away sensitive information to the Russians.
There's only one person on the planet who can make the decision whether to declassify something and whether to talk to someone outside of those of us that are cleared with security, and that's the President of the United States.
And yes, every president can give away sensitive information if it's deems necessary to this country, but Russia happens to be probably our number one adversary, our number one enemy. And it seems that it doesn't seem, it is, President Trump is just coddled to Putin. He's coddled to the Russians. I won't even say Russians because I know Russians, and Russians are good people. They don't like Putin either. And all the Republicans in the Senate have kind of become conspirators. President Trump has been giving away information to these Russians, have been doing everything to cripple the United States and to give Russia more power. He's caused chaos in his country through this pandemic, and the only one who's happy about this is President Putin, and the people that allowed President Trump to do this and get away with it are the Republican Party, who happens to be his accomplices, and Senator Risch got right there in the mix and let everybody know that it's okay that President Trump can give away all our top information, give away all our assets, give away all our intelligence to our number one enemy in this, on this planet. Senator Risch needs to be held accountable for that. And it's interesting, these Republicans covering up for President Trump, who, by the way, and we have to mention every time we mention President Trump's name, President Trump, who, before he got elected president, was bankrupt 4 times. No American bank would lend him money. Created a Trump University that robbed students of their money and gave them a blank, useless piece of paper. Who didn't pay his contractors. This is all before he was elected president. So you think he's a scammer and a schemer, that he's going to change things when he gets to become president? No, he ripped his country off 10 ways to Sunday. And he continues to do so even during this coronavirus, as he funnels hundreds of millions of dollars to his friends, white-collar criminals, and to his own family business. And the Republicans, I guess, are getting paybacks with this also, but have done nothing and let him do this. They are co-accomplices to this guy's thievery.
This is an allegation that was made within days after Donald Trump took the oath of office. The Dems and the New York Times and others accused him of conspiring with the Russians to steal the election.
So now, when a Mueller report comes out, independent investigation done by a credible FBI, the head of the FBI at one time.
Robert Mueller's investigation was an independent investigation done by the Justice Department, which the Democrats demanded, which they got, and which they will not accept the results from, after $35 million was spent by very professional people, by people who the Democrats said were very honest, honest broker people, have now said there's nothing there.
And it says that President Trump obstructed justice. That's a crime, and the President of the United States is not above the law, no matter how many times the Republicans try to tell us otherwise. He needs to pay his dues back to this country. He needs to be arrested. He needs to be prosecuted. But Senator Risch seems to be giving him a break and letting him slide and letting him to get away with these things. And it seems that the Republicans keep covering these things up and keep trying to hide the information. Leader of the Department of Justice, who has covered up President Trump's criminal tracks every which way but loose. And it's very simple. And the Republicans have done the same thing. And we need to challenge that. We need to do that in this election against Senator Risch, who is one of his major accomplices and has tried to protect the president from his crimes. And this has to be a major issue also. One of the things that most of these Democrat candidates are doing is they keep coming out saying, we're going to do this for the people of my state. I'm running for the people of my state. I'm going to fight for the people of my state. I'm going to listen to the people of my state. In a time of peace and prosperity, I guess you can listen to the people of your state. But when there's crisis after crisis after crisis, I think we have to go and say, listen, the Republicans have been causing this crisis. I'm here to fix this crisis. Number one, especially in Idaho for Paulette Jordan, there has to be an attack.
Well, Senator Risch put out a statement in response to you joining the race today. He said in part, all of them being the candidates, have a clear desire to advance the liberal socialist agenda.
Up and here we go again, starting off with the socialist liberal agenda. This is what every candidate is going to start screaming in this election. And we have to step up and we have to challenge it. You're going to tell them what the socialist liberal agenda is. And in this case, the socialist means that you're going to have your Social Security and Medicare protected. The Republicans aren't going to scrap it. They're not going to get rid of your benefits. and they're not going to raise the age at which you're qualified. We're going to go back to the basics. Everybody paid into it. So you're going to be able to retire at 65 and get full benefits. That's what it means when they throw socialist status at us. We have to attack this. What is the liberal agenda? Tell them what the liberal agenda is. We're going to make sure that Iran doesn't make nuclear weapons and point it at the United States of America. We're going to have a Pan-Pacific treaty to get our farmers more customers so that they can make a better living doing their jobs as farmers. That's what the liberal agenda is. And also, when we prop up our farmers for unnecessary tariffs that the Republicans and President Trump has put on to them, we're going to prop them up with tax money. We're going to make sure that millionaires, billionaires, and corporations, and that includes Senator Jim Risch, pays their taxes to this country and pays their dues to this country. That's what it means by the liberal agenda. Everybody has to sacrifice for country. That's the liberal agenda. We're going to have to square this up, and we're going to have to attack Republicans with this. And by the way, the liberal agenda also is a strong centers of disease so that we can stop pandemics coming in, like Ebola, instead of like coronavirus, which the Republicans opened the doors to and President Trump opened the doors to and allowed to spread through this country. That's the liberal agenda. For all these Democrats, you have to attack the Republican incumbents. You have to attack these Republican incumbents and let their record and what they've done and what they haven't done be a part of the issue. Number one, protect the farmers with these tariffs. They've crippled the Idaho farmers' economy. Senator Risch did nothing. Foreign affairs, President Trump allowed our adversaries and our enemies to get stronger. He has crippled the American Intelligence Agency, CIA, FBI, and Senator Risch is a major accomplice. And what we need is a Democrat with guts who's not afraid to go after these Republicans, and that Democrat is Paulette Jordan.
Primarily because we have someone who is lying to the people. It's unfortunate that we have a lieutenant governor who has served 9 years and has done absolutely nothing for Idaho in terms of quality health care or even attainable health care. But it's not about horse racing, because horse racing is already legal according to the Constitution.
It is legal, but we know horse racing was doing fine until Indian gaming expanded, the lottery expanded.
So now you're blaming the tribes.
I'm saying that the revenue, you can go back and look at the records.
Tribes are very rural
Look at the
economies.
revenue that was going into horse racing prior to the expansion of Indian gaming. Just look at that up.
So you don't support a free market?
I always supported free market.
It doesn't sound like it, because you're blaming the tribes now for what you say is
I'm saying in a free
hurting
market,
the horse racing
there'd
industry.
be gaming.
And this is Adam Carr signing off for another episode of True Democrats. We got to spread this. We have to spread the Democrat blue through these red states. And this is the year. Paulette Jordan for the Senate. Our senator's job is supposed to protect the interest of our state and country. But the job is too complicated for Senator Jim Risch. When President Trump was on trial for his criminal behavior, did Senator Risch take his tax finance responsibilities seriously? When President Trump caused China to put needless tariffs on our farmers, suffocating their livelihoods, where was Senator Risch? When President Trump scrapped the Pan-Pacific trade deal, choking off all the trade routes for our farmers, where was Senator Risch? When President Trump ripped up the Iranian nuclear contract and allowed Iran to start making nuclear weapons again, and they started pointing them at the United States, where was Senator Risch? Idaho needs a senator who will protect the interests of Idahoans and Americans. Paulette Jordan for the Senate. What is Senator Risch doing over there in Washington, D.C.? President Trump is giving away classified intelligence to our enemies, the Russians.
There's only one person on the planet who can make the decision whether to declassify something and whether to talk to someone outside of those of us that are cleared with security, and that's the President of the United States.
President Trump is giving away highly classified intelligence to the Japanese.
There's only one person on the planet who can make the decision whether to declassify something and whether to talk to someone outside of those of us that are cleared with security, and that's the President of the United States.
The president appeared to confirm that he had recently shared classified Israeli intelligence with top-level Russian officials with this misleading explanation.
I never mentioned the word or the name Israel.
There's only one person on the planet who can make the decision whether to declassify something and whether to talk to someone outside of those of us that are cleared with security, and that's the President of the United States.
Decapitating the CIA and tearing down the FBI.
And I love the FBI, and the FBI loves me, 99%. It was the top scum, and the FBI people don't like the top scum.
Idaho needs a senator who will protect the interests of Idahoans and Americans. Paulette Jordan for the Senate.